Testing, testing. Okay, can you hear me? I think you can hear me. I hope your Monday has been fine. Monday looks like it's fine. This is the 4th time I've recorded this. Every single thing has gone wrong. And I have talked about this week so much that it seems significant. This week looks significant already. Monday's fine. I hope your Monday was fine. It looks like it was fine. The moon trines Venus. The moon trines Mercury early in the morning. Venus later in the morning. It already happened. And then for much of the afternoon, the moon is just applying to a sextile with Jupiter, which feels nice. After that evening on Monday, the moon is applying to a square with Uranus. So upsetting, surprising, or something like just pinging something kind of sudden in the Taurus part of your life. So whatever house in your chart coincides with the sign of Taurus. And if you don't know how to read your own chart, I still have a free course. I'm going to get rid of it suddenly without notice. But I haven't yet. I've been saying I'm going to do that for a year, but and I'm trying not to edit this, so I might not, but I'm not sure. But I've talked about this week so much that maybe there won't be so many pauses. And Monday and Tuesday connect with Friday and Saturday in a way. So consider this like whatever is going to go down Friday and Saturday, the aftermath of the eclipse. You got a little preview Monday and Tuesday, today or yesterday, whenever you're watching this, and tomorrow or today or yesterday. I don't know when you watch this. Tuesday is simple. Tuesday is just kind of like Monday part 2, except we get the Mercury-Venus conjunction. And this is, so Venus is already retrograde in Aries. Mercury is about to station in Aries. I keep thinking with this Mercury retrograde, I think that's what I'll call my forthcoming Mercury retrograde video. You are wrong about me. That's kind of what it feels like. Mercury and Venus retrograde in Aries. What else do I have to say about that? Mercury-Venus is typically a cute aspect. Pretty cute. Pretty good for art. So if you have something along those lines to do, you're probably going to have to redo it later. But Mars-Mercury signatures can be argumentative. They can also have something to do with like troubleshooting or figuring things out. It's like an engineering signature. Venus retrograde in Aries is like we're finding out what it means to be independent. If Venus is about getting rid of, if Venus retrograde is about, can be about abstaining from comforts and luxuries. And Venus likes to be together. Venus likes companionship. Venus in detriment in Aries is like not getting that. There's something about this Venus retrograde that's like somehow confirming your ability to have independence. And so if you have a choice to like do something with someone or not, it might be a good choice to do it on your own for right now, to experience that intentionally instead of maybe it might not be. Like I've made some decisions that are like, okay, I'm not going to do this part by myself. It might not be that you're on autopilot with like whatever togetherness of, it doesn't have to be like a romantic partner either. But if you're kind of just like doing things automatically without thinking that you need to always be with someone else, like I'm a Libra, so I'm very familiar with that. My ascendant ruler is also in Libra. I'm very familiar with that way of operating. If you're doing it that way, it might be good to snap out of it. See if you can do some things independently, experiment with it. But for right now, Venus and Mercury are together. So whatever parts of your chart Venus rules, whatever parts of your chart Mercury rules, those things are converging in the part of your chart that is symbolized by Aries. That's like this is 5 areas of life all in one. And obviously, with Venus meeting up with Mercury during this Venus retrograde, there will be something having to do with like communication. And this might be like a meeting where communication isn't the best or things aren't communicated as clearly. So if you're doing something that is about communication, you might want to have like a document saying like, confirming like this is what we talked about. Just so that when people get confused later, inevitably, because that's what time it is with Mercury, you'll have something to refer back to. Or like if you're doing a Zoom meeting, record it, send it to each other. For Pete's sake. Speaking of Pete, this Venus retrograde is this one in particular, because we're working with the exalted sun. But all Venus retrogrades, as far as interplanetary retrograde ordeals go, the Venus retrograde is the most similar to the Christian story of Jesus. The death and rebirth of Jesus. I've been enjoying a religious app lately because my mom sent it to me, and I'm Pisces rising, so I love that stuff. Even though I've been talking about how tech needs our souls to interface with the spirit realm. Right now, it's just enjoyable to like kind of go to church with my mom whenever I want. But in the other times I recorded this video, I've talked about that you can't see because none of them worked out. This Venus retrograde coincides exactly with Lent, almost exactly. I didn't realize that. Venus retrogrades, no matter when they are they're very much the same as Lent. It's 40 days where it's best to abstain from luxuries, to see if you can do things on your own. It's a time to like cultivate self-discipline, which I know that's not exactly, what Venus is about, but this Venus retrograde, Venus stations direct in her sign of exaltation with Saturn. So making a part of the way you address this Venus retrograde about self-discipline, cultivating resilience, seeing if you can do something, like we're putting down things that make us comfortable, that make life pleasurable, to see if we can find a different way to move. When we move through life in a different way, we discover different things we might not have discovered had we just continued moving through life in the way that we're used to. And there's a lot about this upcoming eclipse. I was talking about Tuesday, but we're moving on to Wednesday soon. Anyway, Mercury conjoins Venus on Tuesday. After that, and the moon is void also. So this something happening on Tuesday. The moon is void. The moon is our manifestor of the zodiac. So Venus and Mercury are doing something, but it's not exactly going to show up in the world as readily as you might think. Hang on. So Tuesday is just Venus conjoins Mercury and the moon is void. Wednesday, the moon moves into Virgo, so we wake up in a different realm. And everything I was talking about with Lent, with Venus retrograde, we're moving into the eclipse time. The lunar eclipse happens in Virgo. It's our first. We kind of had a taste of it back in September. We had a lunar eclipse in Pisces. Let me get my calendar. This is the calendar. It's still marked down because it's like March. We're headed into Q2. So it's $15 for both. There's a black one and a white one. And you get a digital copy of the calendar, and you get a digital calendar that's configured to your birth chart. That's way too many things. It's $15. And what was I looking up? Oh, I need last year's calendar. I guess I'll just keep plugging the calendar while I look for my reference guide. So the calendar also comes with a PDF, like a digital copy. This is my 2025 that it's already marked up like crazy. That I keep in my notebook. So this is last year's. That's what I was looking for. Anyway, this lunar eclipse connects with the dark moon in Virgo, which was on September 2nd. So this is a culmination of everything since then, and there's something that like changes or like weirdly goes away, or there's like a release of some kind. I'll talk more about the eclipse when I start talking about Thursday. Right now we're talking about Wednesday, but I'm still talking about the eclipse. But there's something on Wednesday Wednesday has a lot to do with Thursday. In the same way, like Monday and Tuesday are kind of like one day. Wednesday and Thursday are kind of like one day. This eclipse there's like the element of surprise and sort of like a trickster thing going on because it's a Mercury-ruled eclipse, and Mercury is about to station retrograde this week. And the eclipse is tightly configured to Uranus, which is another marker for the element of surprise. And then eclipses in general kind of tend to bring surprises, good or bad. So that's one thing going on with this eclipse. The other thing is there's a signature of like deprivation, release, letting go, turning away, being disgusted and turning away. And that comes from three things. One, I guess I'm just like fully talking about the eclipse, and I'm going to bundle it into Wednesday and Thursday. I know on my calendar it says it's on Friday, but it's technically late Wednesday night, like midnight Pacific time. So if you're on the East Coast, it'll technically be like early Friday morning. And if you're somewhere else in the world, it'll just be on that day. But Thursday night will be the official like eclipse night. It goes exact midnight Pacific time. PDT. We're in daylight time now. Anyway, so it's an eclipse on the south node, minus button, releasing, things going away, things passing out of physical manifestation and being more of, imparting more of like a spiritual benefit or a spiritual existence. So that's one thing. The other thing going on is that Venus is retrograde, and it's about like a Venus retrograde and the Catholic holiday Lent, which happens this time around to coincide exactly with Venus retrograde, are about letting go of luxuries in order to cultivate our like more pardon me being Jesus-y, are more Christ-like qualities. And those qualities, there are lots of traditions that have these Christ figures that take on godlike qualities within them. And that's not quite what I mean, because there's like a it's not godlike, like all this power. You know what I mean? I don't have to explain that. So we're getting rid of things that we find comfortable or pleasurable in order to cultivate better qualities within ourselves. And so there's another marker for like doing away with things, letting go of things. Another marker for this is it's on the south node in Virgo, a lunar eclipse. So a lunar eclipse specifically is going to have to do with like physicality going away. Whereas like a normal full moon would be like physicality coming into like climaxing, culmination. The moon being responsible for generation and corruption. But this is more of a corruption. There's some form of corruption, or like, even if it's like a corruption in your need for the thing. I'm just getting nervous that my microphone is not recording, but all of my signals say it's recording, so I'm going to keep going. Just remember, this is the 4th time I've recorded this, and the last time I recorded it, it was because my microphone wasn't on, but it's on. I can see that she's on. So Lent is about austerities. A lunar eclipse on the south node. The south node is about austerities, and we perform austerities in order to cultivate spiritual qualities that make our lives and the people around us and the world better. Sometimes when we approach things from a spiritual place. Sometimes that's not the case if you're not doing it for the right reasons, but spiritual qualities are developed, can be developed, can have like a higher quality, or you can get what you're looking for more if you practice austerities. And that's why like a lot of traditions talk about prayer and fasting together. Or like if you're feeling too like out there, airy fairy, to like eat something, to come back to your body. Another marker for austerities or letting go or like minus button on the physical things is this is a lunar eclipse in Virgo. So one, it's in late Virgo, which has very much to do with the physical body, specifically physical living biological body, in addition to just like things, not living things, organized neatly. But Virgo is about separating, like, what am I going to keep? What is the thing that needs to be kept here that has the value? And what is the thing that is like the hull that can be thrown away, like the wheat harvest? Virgo is the virgin, symbolizing the virgin wheat before harvest, indicating that there is a harvest, a separating, a processing to be done. There is a state before processing and a state after processing. Recognizing those states is a form of processing, and that's Mercury ruled Virgo. So this is ruled by Mercury with the trickster energy. I already talked about that. So the markers for like minus, austerities, doing away with the physical, abstaining from the physical. So far, we have Venus is retrograde. It's not really connected, except that it kind of is, because she stations with the North Node. So there's like a part of the story that has something to do with that. But right now, Venus is in like let go, don't have things phase. Not quite connected to the eclipse, but just like astrology in the sky. I know I'm rambling. I'm trying not to edit this. It's a lunar eclipse on the South Node. It's a lunar eclipse at the end of Virgo. And then the last thing is that it's a lunar eclipse tightly configured to Saturn. The sun is making its conjunction with Saturn. So that's the thing I'm talking about on Wednesday. And that's like all this lead up. Saturn is about, like, if there's any planet that's about austerities, self-discipline in order to have benefits later, in order to make the world better later. Start as you mean to go. It's Saturn. So the sun is making its annual conjunction with Saturn. What ways we're closing a cycle of like, you were tested and things were strained, and how did you do, and did you pass or fail? It's not like you get a reward, a pat on the back, a bunch of confetti. Saturn doesn't do that. It's just like, did you fail? No? Okay, great. Then you don't get punishments or consequences. And the sun's conjunction with Saturn, specifically Saturn being cleansed by the sun. There are many planets being cleansed by the sun this month. Saturn, Mercury, Venus. Sun and Saturn signatures are like self-denial. What can you deny yourself? You go against like what you want. Your desires come from God. Your desire for a cigarette, your desire for a cake pop, that comes from God. It's complicated to work out, but like Saturn, Sun-Saturn combinations, and Venus-Saturn. Venus is stationing with Saturn later. How do we sort out, like, what are we supposed to deny ourselves? And what are we supposed to, like, what desires are we supposed to go for? Saturn is connected to discernment. So this is the sun's annual conjunction with Saturn. And last year, it was roughly around this time. I think it was maybe in February, actually. February. So that's Wednesday. Sun conjoins Saturn. And the moon is applying to a square with Jupiter. So it might feel, Wednesday will probably feel better than Thursday, although the light is totally weird. This is a totally weird time. We're headed into the chaotic times. But Wednesday probably feels pretty good. It's a square with Jupiter, It's the moon in Virgo is squaring Jupiter in Gemini. So there's some sort of like stress, something stressful, or like it's not totally easy, but you might feel triumphant. Like if you didn't fail your year-long Saturn testing, then you might get like experience the hack of like being celebrated by Jupiter a little bit. Thursday is the day of the eclipse. Again, this eclipse connects back to September 1st or 2nd last year, 2024. Whatever began around that dark moon has not come to culmination and in the Virgo part of your life. And except there's like something is weird. There's like a life-changing or like beginning a great cycle of change. And it's going to involve, it's not like all the manifestation, all the abundance quite yet. It's more like sweeping away, like cleaning. I'm cooking my way through in my short form content now through this book called A Monk's Guide to a Clean House and Mind or something. There are posts coming about it. But he says that we clean to eliminate the gloom in our hearts. So this time is less about like, what can I have? What do I get for all the stuff that I've been doing for the past 6 months since the dark moon in Virgo on September 2nd? It's more about like, what can I get away? What can I sweep out? What like gunk and debris can I get rid of that will stop clouding my consciousness and my life? I just cleaned so many things and I just feel so much better. And it's that like lightness of getting rid of something or allowing things to pass away, even if you feel a sense of deprivation, which you might, even if you're like being a good girl and denying yourself. So Wednesday, for much of Wednesday, the moon is applying to a sextile, the first part of Wednesday. The moon is applying to a sextile with Mars. Wednesday might be a good day to get up early. But it's the day of an eclipse on the south node in Virgo. So you might feel low energy with a concurrent compulsion to get a lot of things done. And since the moon is also opposing Saturn, you might beat yourself up over like not getting all the things done that you wanted to do, or just like you want to do stuff, but you don't feel motivated, just even like physically, energetically. That's okay. South node eclipse days are, any eclipse is going to like make you kind of feel low energy. Like the light is weird. The energy, light is energy. It's not functioning exactly how it normally functions. Excuse me. So there's like a tension. It's a sextile, so there's like an opportunity to get some stuff done. You can, something I want, this makes me feel like this is like the vibe of Thursday. Did I say Wednesday? I don't know. The vibe of Thursday is like, I have been eyeing, it's not available now. I want to see if there's like another one by like another manufacturer or craftsman, but it's like a lay down desk for your laptop. So you can like strap your laptop into this desk and work laying down. And that, I have a lot of Pisces, so that sounds amazing to me. I feel like I could get so much done if I could just lay down and do it. And then like I'm getting a little arm workout. I want one so bad. That's the vibe. Thursday, like that moon sextiling Mars during a south node eclipse. And so at night, Thursday night is like a lot of stuff goes down. We have the eclipse at midnight, but first we have the moon opposing Saturn. So the moon in Virgo opposing Saturn in Pisces. I talk about this every time lately that the moon in Virgo has opposed Saturn in Pisces. I like this aspect. It feels productive. And that's another reason it like connects to that moon sextiling Mars, opposing Saturn. It doesn't feel quite as like burdensome as other moon opposite Saturn times. It's definitely like, you're feeling the weight of your responsibilities. It doesn't feel as like full of sorrow as it could, even though it's Pisces. Because these two planets are kind of doing similar things. The moon and Saturn are strange bedfellows. Saturn can absolutely make the moon not work right. Saturn is in detriment, or the moon is in detriment. They're in detriment in each other's signs. But I feel like they have similar goals and they're trying to do somewhat similar things. And when one planet aspects another planet, I always think that planet gets a taste of you get a little taste of that planet in that sign. So we get, if it's a moon in Virgo, Saturn in Pisces opposition, you get a little taste of moon in Pisces. You get a little taste of Saturn in Virgo because these archetypes are like crossing wires. Or like exchanging, blending. Where was I? The moon's domicile is in Cancer. That's a water sign. They're like feelings, instinct. One of Saturn's domiciles is Capricorn, an earth sign. Building, practicality, establishing. So we have Virgo, especially like the end of Virgo, corresponding particularly with the physical body, and Saturn in Pisces having a lot to do with biology, and like it's wetware. I can't believe I've never thought of that word for Saturn in Pisces. Wetware. Okay, my shirt is broken. Everything's going wrong. So the moon's trying to do its watery moon stuff in Virgo, where it can be like fairly effective. It's not like in detriment or anything. And Saturn is trying to do its like hard-nosed, staunch, stalwart, concretizing Saturn stuff. In Pisces, where it's not like in detriment or anything. It can do things fine, but it kind of like leans towards the biological, the cell gap junction. So they have moon in Virgo opposite Saturn in Pisces. I think I just go down a rabbit hole every single time. So if you're tired of hearing about it, don't be. And then we have the eclipse. And I've talked about the eclipse a lot. But the other thing I'll say is, this eclipse is very tightly trine Uranus and like tightly applying to Uranus. The eclipse goes exact 11:54 Pacific Daylight Time. I hope this is daylight time on my thing, my printout. Do you want to see how I do this? I'll show you. I should make a video about this. I put the transits in Astro Gold. Can you even see this? It's so messy. I print out the transits in Astro Gold. I put them into a special InDesign template so I can get the columns in the places I want, because the columns are not organized this way. And then I highlight the yellow is ingress, the orange is aspects that are not moon aspects. Except for I do normally highlight full and dark moons in orange. But I didn't because I forgot here. Because I just I'm like, is there a moon here or not? And so often I forget to highlight the full and dark moons. And then I write physically, because I used to write all this down, but I like to see the moon and I just like to have it linearly. Okay, guess we're done looking at that. Anyway, the ingresses are yellow. The aspects that are not just like moon aspects, except for lunations, are orange. And I should highlight the lunations in like another color. And stations are in blue. And then I go through and write down any ingresses, including lunar, and any aspects not lunar, because I don't need to write down every single one. But it's just so I can like have the information in my body by writing it down. And then I just like write down notes throughout the week or right before or whatever. Anyway, so this eclipse is tightly configured to Uranus by trine. The eclipse goes exact at 11:54 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, I hope, daylight time. And the moon makes its exact trine with Uranus at 12:05 p.m., so 10 minutes later. And after that, the sun makes a sextile with Uranus, because Uranus is in a place to aspect them both. So I talked about eclipses being like a time of low energy. It's also a time of heightened emotions. So I'll get to that in a minute. The one thing I want to touch on is the moon also is opposing Neptune on Friday morning. So Thursday night, the moon trines Uranus 10 minutes after the eclipse, and then it's applying for the rest of the night to this opposition with Neptune. So eclipse seasons, we talked about this in my spring 2025 live thing that I did. Thank you for coming to that if you watched it. And if you didn't watch it, you should watch it. It's really long though. It's like 3.5 hours. And so you could just like put the scrubber anywhere and watch some part of it. But we talked about, a couple people had some stories about like traumatizing, life-changing dreams during eclipse season. And I've absolutely had those. I've had some absolutely insane, like I could make a horror movie. I could make a psychological thriller about a couple of dreams I'm thinking of. I could make, man, what an epic, like, I could make an epic 2-part feature film out of 2 dreams I'm thinking of that are absolutely crazy. And maybe I should. However, in addition to just dreams being weird during times of eclipse, the moon is opposing Neptune. So your dreams are going to be crazy. If you're getting a good night's sleep, they're already probably getting crazy. And they'll be crazy for the next couple of weeks. So insane dreams. And there's like a doubling of markers for insane dreams. So what are the things we have right now for this eclipse? Letting go, minus button, getting rid of stuff, turning away of stuff, being deprived, element of surprise, trickster energy, and like rebellion energy, and weird ass dreams. So before I wrap up just talking about the eclipse at length, the other thing I'll say is this is a time of you're going to want to make a decision. One of the eclipse rulers, this lunar eclipse in Virgo, is ruled by Mercury, about to station with that trickster energy. And Mercury is about to station in the first phase of Aries, the very end of the first phase of Aries. I'll get to that in a minute, where like Venus stationed at the very beginning of the second phase of Aries. Mercury stations at the very end of the first phase of Aries. I have some things to say about that later. But one of the things I'll say right now is Mercury is stationing in the first phase of Aries. That's very much about deciding. One of the big symbols in 36 Faces is an axe. The word decide means to cut. It's to fork the timeline. I think of like another word, another F word for the timeline, which is going to be the title of this video. So, what? There's like a dot of sunshine. Excuse me. Eclipses make you want to like take drastic action all of a sudden because emotions are so heightened and because like garbage from your, not even garbage, gold. Sometimes that's gold. Stuff from your subconscious is like coming out unexpectedly all of a sudden. So we have like a double marker for like rash, like harsh decision making all of a sudden that results in something going away. So what is this eclipse? Letting go of something going away. Trickster energy, weird ass dreams, decision making. Harsh decision making, like the tough decisions. I forget why I started talking about that early. Like before moving on to Friday. Okay, so technically, if you're somewhere else besides the West Coast in the United States, the eclipse technically happens on Friday morning or sometime during the day on Friday if you're in Europe. I'm finding I have several people in Europe. So I apologize for such a North American centric, but that's where I am. So I can't do the math for everybody. This is an ancient art. Whatever. I'm going to move on. I feel like I'm like branching out, jumping stairs. Someone told me I jump stairs with the way I communicate, and that is very true. So Friday, midday, the moon moves into Libra. So now we're like, first part of Friday is like Wednesday, Thursday, part 3. The second part of Friday is Monday, Tuesday, part 3. Second half of Friday and all of Saturday are kind of like that. Sort of Sunday too. Is going back to Monday and Tuesday and back into this Venus Mercury retrogrades story. So around noon Pacific time, the moon moves into Libra, so we're back in Venus retrograde land. The eclipse has just happened. Emotions are heightened. Emotions are also heightened during Venus retrogrades because it's like, I love you, I hate you. There is like this like and disgust thing happening with that, or like love and anger. There's probably a lot of anger stuff going on with this Venus retrograde. I know I've already experienced some of it myself with like my own anger and like trying to be really conscious of it. So moon was into Libra around noon. And then for much of the rest of the day, the moon is applying to a trine with Pluto. And I keep thinking that this is like the movie Her now. Every time the moon, like moon in Sag, sextiling Pluto and Aquarius, is our Neuralink aspect, happens every 30 days, 27.3 days. My stomach is growling. I hope you can't hear it. And this is like the movie Her starring Joaquin Phoenix aspect. The moon in Libra trining Pluto and Aquarius. Because it's so darn easy to just make ChatGPT your friend. I haven't done it personally because I have a lot of other like artificial friend tools in my spiritual arsenal. That sounds weird. Maybe I should make a whole video about that. So I don't feel the need to tell ChatGPT all my secrets. I already have other ways that I divulge my secrets as a form of catharsis instead of having friends, because I have no friends because I have a lot of markers for like just bad relationships and not functioning well in groups. Anyway, I got thrown off track by telling you some of my secrets. So, the moon trining Pluto, the moon in Libra trining Pluto in Aquarius. I made this short form video. You can watch it wherever you like to consume your short forms, because I just post them everywhere. It's like they're like red mountains behind me, and it's like my face not looking very good, squinting with like 11 muscles in the sun, talking about AI and how they're normalizing talking to it. And when I made this, I saw, you should watch it, because it also talks about digital twinning and how all of this is going to like start to rear its head really strongly when Uranus enters Gemini. This is the era of digital twinning. A digital twin is not necessarily, a digital twin is not an AI video avatar of yourself. It can be. This is like a square is a rectangle, but not every rectangle is a square. Digital twinning is creating a copy, a functioning copy of something and how it operates in the world. It's like a clone, a doppelganger. And that's what the algorithm is. When we talk about the algorithm, that's your digital twin. And I've talked about that a lot, so I'm not going to go further with that. But when I made this short form video about normalizing talking to AI, it was because I saw this. There's like a Chat GPT influencer who I like very much, but she's an influencer. And I sometimes wonder if she's a psyop for lots of reasons. I could make a case for it. I should have a private membership so I can talk about these like more like tinfoil hat Mercury retrograde in Scorpio things I think about. And you can tell me, no, that's your imagination versus, no, I think you're probably right about that. Anyway, I saw a post by her that was like insinuating very strongly that you should talk to it like it's your friend because nobody knows you, like ChatGPT. But this week I saw, and I'll post it. Maybe I should post it on Friday at 6:26 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. I'll probably forget though. I'll probably post it at some point. Anyway, I wanted to post just like something in my stories that was a screenshot of this other post by her that I saw, and just alongside my short form video to be like, look, this is like being promoted. Whether it's not, she's just really into it, or she is a mouthpiece for some larger messaging, who knows? I know there are things like that though, because I watch them and I know who they're funded by. Anyway, not that there's anything wrong with that. Also, that was just for my thumbnail. Maybe I'll use that for my thumbnail. Maybe I should do that after this. That was my blue steel. Anyway, I keep forgetting that I'm not going to edit this, or I'm going to try not to. I'm going to like smack my hand if I like try to edit it, because that would save me a lot of time until I can be a big girl and hire an editor. What was I saying? I'm still talking about the moon trining Pluto. Anyway, I saw a really amazing screenshot or amazing post this week that I took a screenshot of, because in the text, the same person is like, here is my prompt for using ChatGPT as like a little friend in your pocket that you can text all the time. And that coincides with like, once we have like everybody doing that, or like lots of people doing that, and then you have like first party data, like your own data verifiably private on blockchain as a permanent record, then like there's, even without the blockchain, like OpenAI can read your thoughts because they know you, and then they have an AI processing that of like, all your thoughts. And then if it's on blockchain, it's a permanent record that you can be compelled to expose to people should you need assistance, which a lot of people are, because we're coming into a time of mass dispossession where like it's going to be conditional, behaviorally conditional. And then this is like what could happen. I know I'm being Chicken Little, like the sky's falling. But in addition to that, like if you have everybody on blockchain or, you know, permanent record or not, at any time, if like everybody's like using ChatGPT as their friend and putting in their thoughts and like talking to them whenever they want, you can also get like a big ol' hive mind look at the collective mind, which sounds very useful if that technology belongs to you as a private company. I'm not saying it shouldn't be a private company. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just telling you what's happening. And if I had that technology, I would probably use it that way too. It would be so tempting. It would be so hard not to. And then people would just have to trust that you're good. Okay. Anyway. How I learned to love myself and start trusting Samuel Altman. Okay. So, Mercury stations retrograde at close to midnight on Friday night. And I talked a lot about that, like decision-making stuff. And I'll make a separate video about it, hopefully, because so much went wrong with this video. It has really set me back on all my goals. And so hopefully I'll make that. I'm also trying not to say since I'm not editing, and that is very difficult. I have a big problem with that. And I identify as like a person who has really excellent elocution, who is like a good public speaker. And when I look at my videos, I am not that. I say and like so much. Oh, let's talk about Saturday. So I have Mercury stationing retrograde on Saturday. Technically, it's Friday night Pacific time, but anywhere else in the world, it's Saturday. So the thing I was going to talk about, Saturday we have the moon is opposing Venus and opposing Mercury. So that's taking us kind of like back to Monday, where like things happened a little more of a like a confluence, a little easier. This is like Mercury has stationed retrograde now, so we're like reviewing this in a way that we might make some changes. We might, because emotions are heightened, feel compelled to make drastic changes, or drastic changes might happen and we might be trying to fix it, take drastic actions to fix it that make it worse, because that's these inner planet, like Venus and Mercury retrogrades. You're trying to fix it, even Mars, maybe. You try to fix it, you make it worse. Don't try to fix it. Can you just sit with, and I'm saying this for myself, can you just sit with things being as they are? That's really hard. That's a form of austerity, though, that you can perform. Like, unless, obviously, it's like there's life and death situations. You will need to have discernment, which is also at play very much this week. Excuse me. My voice is so messed up because I feel like I talked all afternoon trying to record this video over and over again. And my voice is now tired. I'm not tired. I feel so much better than yesterday when I was trying to record this, so it's kind of a blessing in disguise. So the moon opposes Venus and Mercury on Saturday. And it's like early Saturday morning, so you'll get a taste of it starting late Friday night. And something I'm thinking about with these, like Venus, this is what I was saying earlier I was going to talk about later. Venus stationed at the very beginning of the second face of Aries. So Venus was trying to, this is like the second part of Aries, Venus was trying to like kind of world build in a way that would attract, you might find if you're in a Venus ruled year especially, Venus was trying to build, like world build in a way that could like attract and magnetize good things through the Aries version of life, like doing the best she can. And then we had to, and she's stationed retrograde, and we're finding we have to like go backwards and address, like go through like harsh acts, choppy decision making territory, and then we're going back into Pisces. So she'll get to like do that again in like May. You'll get to come back to whatever that was that you started, and you can't finish that because you got to do other stuff. And then Mercury is stationed, like didn't really get to that second part of Aries yet. It's all just in this like decision making realm, and then also back into Pisces. So we get that a little more like tension, stark contrast, opposition on Saturday morning. And then the rest of Saturday, like into like afternoon / super early evening, the moon is trining Jupiter. So Saturday feels good despite any chaos that might have ensued. But don't like, I'm thinking of, this is more of like kind of a Uranus correspondence, although they don't map it exactly, but I'm thinking of like, because of all this like element of surprise, Mercury is retrograde, I think of like the good, like feeling good on Saturday is kind of like skipping and singing to yourself, and you just like walk off a cliff. So just slow your roll. Don't get too excited. Don't be depressed. Like feel good, please. Feel good. Saturday feels good. It's just like, you know, we're entering such a chaotic time of change in ourselves, in our lives, with each other, and in the world. And you can see it in the world. So Saturday feels good, but the Saturday night, so like when you get into early evening, then that's the moon squaring Mars. So the moon in Libra squaring Mars in Cancer. And this, like, you know, it technically happens on Sunday morning, but I'm going to keep it up in Saturday because the Mercury-Mars opposition, Mars is also squaring Mercury. So Mercury is opposing the moon in Libra and squaring Mars in fall in Cancer. I think planets get a taste of themselves in the sign of the planet that they're aspecting. So this is like Mars aspecting the moon in Libra, where Mars is in detriment in Libra, and watch this. You got this far, but like, watch it on 2x. If I'm not like, I just have these like long pauses where I have to like readjust, and a lot of it is because I'm by myself. I have nothing to respond to. I have so many markers in my chart of like communication, like my third house, my seventh ruler, stuff in human design, like all of it is like I need something to respond to. So when I'm just like talking by myself, like excuse me, sometimes if I have nothing to respond to, then like everything dissolves and I have to start all over. It's like I feel like a free radical. I'm gonna just like break something or like say a bad word or just don't continue the thread I was on and talk about something else. Anyway, so Saturday could feel good, but it could start to get like more argumentative as the day goes on because Mercury is squaring Mars. Mars is in fall. Mars is squaring the moon in Libra. It's like all the Spider-Man's argument time. So So it feels kind of harsh. And we're in like harsh territory. So that's the keywords for Sunday. And then Saturday, you kind of get like, a teacher's preparation day, like a teacher's prep day before the moon moves into Scorpio next Monday, where it will be dramatic and moody. And that's probably because a lot has happened this week that I've had to talk about so many times. I know it like the back of my hand, and I think maybe God wants that for me. And I hope it's, well, I will trust that it is for the best. The other thing I wanted to talk about quickly before I leave you was that we have something interesting going on with the Mars-Saturn cycle. I woke up in a cold sweat 2 nights ago thinking like, we're due for a Mars-Saturn square, because Mars for me is connected to my money, which is, and I have a day chart, so that's like traumatic danger stuff, the money. So good times, something to heal throughout my lifetime. But I woke up in a cold sweat being like, Mars is going to square Saturn soon, because we haven't had a Mars-Saturn square in a while. And then I got to thinking, so we've had this extended Mars-Saturn trine since September, with the exception of the month of December, which was mostly Mars in Leo, off axis from Saturn. So we've gotten, because of the Mars retrograde, we've gotten this extended, gotten isn't a word, we've experienced this extended Mars-Saturn configuration of like, they're not squaring or opposing each other. And that's cool. And because Saturn is going to change signs very soon, so Mars is going to move into Leo in mid-April. Saturn is going to move into Aries near the end of May. And then we get more Mars trine Saturn, which is nice. And then, since, normally over the past couple of years, Mars in Virgo means it's Mars opposite Saturn. But Mars will move into Virgo in mid-June, and Mars will be off axis from Saturn again. So we have it's 6 months, more than 6 months. It's 8 or 9. What is this math? It's I'm not good at quick math. I know the answer. I'm not an idiot. I just can't, I don't have the swiftness. I get depth. I can think about how the ChatGPT influencer is, why she would be encouraging us to talk to it, but I can't do this math right now. It's 9 months of Mars trining or off axis from Saturn, which I like. However, so after Mars completes its transit of Virgo, Mars will move into Libra, where it's in detriment again. So it's Mars in not great shape again, and that's Mars in detriment opposing Saturn in fall in Aries. Mars will move into Libra in early August, and Saturn will be in early Aries, so we'll immediately, that will not be the best time. That has the potential to be kind of a bad time, and I don't like it. So I woke up in a cold sweat being we're due for a Mars-Saturn square or opposition or some sort of ugly Mars-Saturn period. And then I realized we have had a break for a long time, and we get an even more extended break, and that's great, except at the end of that extended break, the shit is going to hit the fan with Mars and Libra opposing Saturn in Aries. I just wanted to give you that extended Mars-Saturn forecast because I was thinking about it. Remember, your Wi-Fi is a camera that can see through walls.